Hello and welcome, my name is Connor from Luxury Smart Homes, and today I'm going to be telling you how we took control of an entire working theatre using Home Assistant. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, me and Tez, who are the directors and founders of Luxia, used to work in theatre. Well, I used to work in theatre, Tez still does. Now, we actually went back to the theatre that we worked in and we did a conference there. Okay, we did a talk which was about the future of smart homes, and we based it around what we do, but also bringing in Home Assistant, okay, because obviously that is a big part of what we do. And we wanted to just demonstrate how powerful Home Assistant is and show off the local side of home automation, how things don't need to run through the cloud and they don't need to run, through third parties all the time. You can do it all yourself, at home on your home network. It's all local, secure, private, lightning fast, and versatile. Okay, we took control of a lighting rig, so we took control of multiple professional lighting fixtures within the theatre. We took control of their low fog machine and the smoke machines, fans to do some wind effects on the audience. We took control of Pyrotechnics even, okay, firing off confetti through the Home Assistant app.
Just press it. Just press it.
Okay.
So yeah.
All of this was integrated through Home Assistant, through various different means, and it was all triggered from an iPad which Tez had throughout the conference. And we even got some people to interact with the iPad themselves so that they could see everything was happening live in real time, no tricks.
And I can choose a colour, and I can change the colour of these lights behind me, right? And to prove that it's not just somebody up there pressing the button going blue, Herb choose a random colour and hit it. Look over here on the on the big wheel of colour. Class. Yeah, so that's definitely you doing it. Yeah, blue, perfect. We'll go back to bright ideas pink.
So for the core setup of things, you can see that I just have my laptop, a network switch, Home Assistant Blue, and the Swiss on Node, which allows 5-pin DMX to run over the network. So that was it. That was basically all I had, okay? For other things, we had some smart plugs and stuff, but for taking control of the actual professional theatre lights, this was the primary setup, okay, with the main thing being the Swiss on Node. Again, that takes 5-pin DMX, so you can plug lighting fixtures into this, and then it converts it over to the network. Now, the protocol that we were using was called ArtNet. Now, you've got ArtNet and Streaming ACN. Now, the theatre actually runs on Streaming ACN. However, we couldn't get it to work correctly with Streaming ACN. We were using, I think it was the ArtNet LED for lighting DMX, which is in the community store. It's an integration. I'll leave it linked in the description just to kind of thank whoever made that integration. Very powerful, really cool, definitely helped us out. But the main thing when using this integration was to actually check the personality of the fixture to see what all of the individual channels were doing within the fixture. So we had to basically figure out the parameters of the lighting fixture and then try and match it to the integration so that we could get pretty much perfect control of the light. Now, as you can see, once everything was set up in the configuration.yaml and Home Assistant was restarted, all of the lights showed up as devices within Home Assistant. We could then click on this device and just like any other light in Home Assistant, whether it be your Philips smart bulb, you can control it with either the dimming function or the color wheel. And again, this was all very accurate and worked exactly as it should. I was very, very impressed by the ArtNet integration that we were using from the community store. Like I say, it took a bit of setting up, but once you were there, extremely good. So that's what we had for lighting, and it worked perfectly. Like I said, some gobos, some kind of pan and tilt with the intelligent fixtures would have been nice, but it was just too many channels going on to really figure out how to get everything in and working within the time that we had. We only really had the morning to set this up, so it was like a couple of hours. So I think we did really well to get everything in that we did. So yeah, it would have been really nice to use some of the intelligent fixtures, but it was far too complicated to try and figure out at 6 o'clock in the morning when you only had 2 hours. So next up we had the Pyrotechnics. Now both myself and Tez are pyro trained. Everybody else in the theatre on the technical team is also pyro trained. Now this particular pyro controller is the Magic Effects controller. And as you can see, there are 4 switches and 4 buttons. And next to those there is a key which you can turn to either off or on. Now, most people, quite rightly, assume that when you flick one of these switches, it arms that channel. So if I was to flick the switch above number 1, that would be armed, and then I would press the fire button to fire the pyro. But that is not how this works, okay? Both the switch and the big red fire button actually fire the pyro, okay? So both of them act as a method of firing, which we always thought was a bit weird when I used to work in the theatre, but actually, for us, right now, this was really, really helpful because it meant that we could put the switches in the on position, put the key in the off position, connect the pyro controller to a smart plug, and then whenever we were ready to fire the pyro, the stage manager would put the key to the on position, and then we would then turn on the smart plug, and the pyro would fire. The confetti would go off. So it worked really, really well, scared the hell out of the audience. We didn't even tell the person who was kind of in charge of the whole event, we didn't even tell him that we were doing it, so it was a real shock to him as well, and you can see that in the video. But it was really, really good, and it worked really, really well. And again, happy that we managed to get this integrated because again, it just demonstrates Home Assistant's level of complexity and control. I know it's just a smart plug, but when you kind of think things through properly, you can integrate pretty much anything, okay? The minute we've got lights and pyro going off, okay, and we also had a smoke machine going off. The smoke machine actually was through that ArtNet integration. I kind of just dedicated that bit to lighting, but that was also through the ArtNet integration. So it was like a low fog machine, and then we had a smoke machine on top. Again, both of them just run on 5-pin DMX, so they were plugged into that Swiss-on node, which translated the DMX over the network through ArtNet, and we could take control of it through that. So again, really cool that we've got all of these different things in, all of this kind of professional theatre equipment integrated through Home Assistant.
Now, what I'm going to do now is talk about something a little bit sinister. So for that, we probably just need a little bit of low fog to kick in a sec. So I've just hit some low fog. So the dangers of some smart homes. So some people are like worried about privacy and worried about security, and that's a massive deal within the smart home industry. Now, most things, such as like the Alexa devices or any cloud-based devices, relies on another server somewhere else for it to work, okay? So when you're saying, hey, Alexa, make my Philips Hue bulb go blue, that's not actually happening in your house, right? That's going pinging somewhere else to another server over the internet, pinging back to your house super fast, and then making your light blue, right? I want to turn this off because you aren't going to like it in a sec.
So you can see I gave him all of the lights along the top, and then along the bottom we've got the fans and the smoke machines and things going on down there as well. And again, these were all just on and off. Okay, fans obviously on and off, so we could control them. The low fog and smoke machines were also just on and off. As soon as you turn them on, it would start generating the fog or the smoke, and then as soon as you turn it off, it would just stop again. So very, very simple to kind of get integrated through that ArtNet integration because it was, you know, 1 or 2 channels. RGBW lighting was obviously more than that. I think there were maybe 7 channels to that. But the app is also running through our default Luxia kind of setup as well. So that is how our Luxia app normally is, but we just filled it full of different theatre equipment for today. That was really nice. Tez could just kind of walk around on stage and play with that, but also hand it to audience members to have a play with as well, which is why it's important that the key was off and out of the pyro controller in case anybody accidentally hit the mic drop. Okay, so again, that was making sure that that was safe for people and that we didn't accidentally set that off throughout the talk. Now, you've probably heard me talk about the network in the theatre, either through the podcast with Alan, the home automation guy, or I've probably just kind of mentioned it here and there throughout some videos. But this is one of the racks that lives within the theatre. There are multiple of these racks dotted around the theatre, on stage, and kind of the control room. And this contains everything that you need to kind of patch the network around the building. So you've got a 16-port switch in here from Unify, which is, you know, all VLAN'd up, and there's a little sticker on there to tell you what all of the different ports do and which networks they talk to. Now for today, I actually set up our own network, so I created a network called Luxia and I ran everything through that, just so I didn't interfere with anything else going on in the theatre or if I interrupted anything. As you can imagine, theatre equipment is very sensitive, and the slightest kind of change, or if there's anything wrong, especially with like things like multicast and stuff, it can really kind of mess up the entire the entire setup. So I created a separate network that allowed me to just do whatever I wanted without interfering with anything. So that's basically it. That is everything that we did. The ArtNet integration for controlling all of the 5-pin DMX elements, and then just a simple smart plug on the end of a Pyro controller to set off some confetti. And all of that was integrated through Home Assistant. We used a Miros Wi-Fi smart plug to get that up and running. And yeah, pretty simple really. The hardest bit was just figuring out the configuration for the lights, just figuring out the kind of DMX personalities for those. But once we got all of that figured out and we got it all configured in, it worked perfectly, and I'm very happy with how everything turned out. And if you want to watch the full talk online, you can watch it over on the Bright Ideas Gathering YouTube channel. I'll leave a link to it in the description as well, so that you can head over and take a look if you want. But yeah, hopefully this was interesting. Also just demonstrates, again, that everything was genuine, that it was set up through Home Assistant, it was live, we weren't doing any kind of trickery in the background. Yeah, it's something that we're quite proud of that we were able to do, and we've wanted to do for quite a while as well. If there's anything that you want to ask, any questions about the setup, if you've, anything I might have skipped over or missed out on, anything that you might be interested in hearing, then let me know in the comments and I will do my best to reply to them. But yeah, other than that, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, turn on the notifications so that you never miss out on any of our content. And until then, I will see you in the next video. Whoop. There we are. Beautiful. Look alive. Right then. Let's get a focus on you. Beautiful. Stunning job, Nicholas.